everyone, it's Carrie with Happy Fish Tarot. So this morning I was thinking to myself, I need to film a video today, and I got this feeling like there was an iron vice around my chest, and then I started feeling like my brain was frozen inside of my skull. It was like I couldn't think about doing the video. I just felt almost paralyzed and completely blocked from moving forward, and I just wanted to do anything else besides film the video today. And as I thought about this, I realized it's actually a perfect thing to talk about in the video today. This is a phenomenon that I have come to refer to as resistance. I had been experiencing my own resistance for years before I came across this specific terminology. I read a really awesome book recently called The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, and this is where I got the actual term resistance. Resistance is something that many people experience whenever they try to do something that is moving them from a lower plane of existence to a higher plane of existence. So there's a lot of things that could elicit resistance. Examples would be when you decide maybe to start eating better, or maybe you decide to take on a spiritual practice, you decide to start meditating, you want to start any kind of creative project, writing a novel, anything like that. Resistance manifests itself in a lot of different ways. It's a very tricky character. In fact, I have come to associate the concept of resistance with our good friend, the devil from the tarot. Resistance is a force within me that essentially wants to maintain the status quo. I don't think of resistance necessarily as an evil force, even though I said I associate it with the devil card. I think it's a neutral force. It's the part of us that wants to maintain the status quo, that wants to keep things the way they are, the part that kind of tries to sedate us into just being complacent with our life as it is, and seduce us away from making these positive changes when we try to instigate them. I think thinking of resistance as a force is really helpful for me, and could be for a lot of people as well. The reason it's so helpful for me is it makes it something more tangible. I was experiencing resistance for years before I had a way to articulate what it was that was going on with me. And I harbored a lot of guilt and resentment to myself over my resistance, which really just made things even worse because resistance feeds on resentment and guilt. The bad news is, if you are a person like me who experiences resistance very strongly, it doesn't tend to magically go away, I've discovered. Every single time I sit down to work on my novel, I have to face the resistance. And I loved reading The War of Art because Steven Pressfield describes how facing resistance is a daily battle. It's something we have to do over and over and over again. But it can be done, and it's simpler than it probably seems. The real trick to facing resistance is just to do what you need to do. So even though you feel that paralyzed feeling, if you're me anyway, even though you feel the fear, you feel the doubt, you feel the resistance to what it is that you're trying to do, you need to muster up the strength to sit down and do that thing anyway. And once you kind of break that psychological barrier and start to work on something, it becomes easier and easier. It's still hard, it's still something you have to face over and over, but it starts to feel surmountable. Some more good news. A really helpful tactic for dealing with resistance and to continue to move forward even when it feels like you're dragging yourself through the mud. We all have a force within us that is opposite of resistance. In The War of Art, Steven Pressfield talks about having muses. And these are forces that are on the side of our creativity, that are on the side of lifting us up from the lower planes of existence into the higher planes of existence. These are the forces that are there to feed you inspiration, to feed you guidance, to whisper ideas into your ears. And they are just as strong as resistance. But I think the key for a lot of us is learning to actively invite these muses in. And there's a lot of ways you can do this depending on what you prefer and what you find works best for you. Steven Pressfield, the author of The War of Art, has a little invocation of the muses that he recites when he sits down to start working on things. What I have been doing lately, I have sort of taken on the star as my muse card, and when I sit down to work on something, I like to kind of prop up this card next to me so I can feel almost as though it's empowering me. This is really just cracking the surface on what I have to say about resistance. It's a really hairy topic, and I think about this a lot. I find it fascinating, and it's been such a huge part of my own journey, and I know it's going to continue to be a part of my journey. So I think this is definitely something I'll be talking about more. I'll probably do more videos, do some blog posts, and share some thoughts on this topic with you in the future. Thank you for watching. As always, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I put out videos every Tuesday. Check out my site over at happyfishtarot.com, and I will catch you next time.